Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Go ahead and put on your hard hat, because today you and I are stepping into the shoes of a safety manager. We're conducting an active on-site risk assessment. You see, in heavy industrial environments, think refineries, chemical plants, big mills, fire safety isn't just some boring compliance checkbox. It's literally a daily urgent battle to keep everyone alive. So, let's walk the floor.
Here's our inspection checklist for the day. First, the cost of complacency. Then, hunting for ignition sources, the escape plan, the internal fire brigade, your first line of defense. And finally, we'll cover the ultimate decision, fight or flee. Let's get to it. Okay, let's dive into section 1, the cost of complacency and why we walk the floor.
Take a really hard look at this. This right here is the aftermath of the Imperial Sugar Refinery dust explosion down in Port Wentworth, Georgia. We're anchoring our risk assessment here today because, sadly, this is the devastating reality of industrial fires. When protocols fail in these high-risk environments, the consequences are absolutely catastrophic. I mean, this isn't some theoretical textbook exercise. This is exactly what happens when we lose control of the hazards right in front of us.
So, what did we actually learn here? Well, the lessons from Imperial Sugar are pretty much written in stone now. First off, dust explosions are an incredibly serious hazard, one that's way too often underestimated. Second, something as mundane as daily housekeeping, it's literally a life-saving measure. Meticulously sweeping up to minimize airborne combustible dust is vital. Third, if you have a near miss, corrective actions post-accident are absolutely essential. You can't ignore them. And finally, prevention isn't just a tiny part of your safety program, it is the absolute core of your protection.
Moving right along to section 2, hunting for ignition sources and the fire triangle. You know the drill with the fire triangle, but it really simplifies our entire job today. It takes oxygen, heat, and fuel. A rapid chemical reaction between those three is exactly what gives us flames, light, and smoke. Now, since oxygen is everywhere in the air and fuel is often the literal product we're manufacturing, our main mission out here on the factory floor is simple. Keep that heat source, the ignition, as far away from the fuel and oxygen as humanly possible. So, what exactly are we hunting for? Well, here are the most common industrial ignition sources. Stuff like open flames, smoking, or lightning strikes. Those are pretty obvious threats, right? But look at static electricity and hot work. Man, those are notorious culprits. Just dispensing a flammable liquid can generate an unseen static spark. And welding or cutting during routine maintenance, that can so easily send a hot mechanical spark bouncing right into a dusty combustible corner. And as we're walking past this machinery, keep this in mind. A massive cause of industrial fires is just overheated bearings on hot machinery. Another really sneaky risk, clogged or dirty ventilation filters, especially when they get totally choked up with a flammable air contaminant. Meticulous inspection and cleaning of these areas. It's not just busy work, it's an essential trigger we have to control to stop a disaster before it starts. All right, on to section 3, the escape plan, and knowing your way out. Now, what's really interesting about this evacuation map is the strict, uncompromising design of it. Notice the clear primary and secondary exits. You absolutely must have at least 2 ways out, and that path has to be continuously unobstructed, no exceptions. Also, notice the absolute ban on using elevators during a fire. If you use them, the doors open to the fire floor and they just shut down. Your route always needs to lead you out and away to a designated assembly area so we can do a head count and account for every single worker. But hey, evacuation isn't always a one-size-fits-all response. We really need to understand the difference between a total evacuation, getting everyone totally out of the building for a structural fire, versus sheltering in place. If there's an external hazard like a toxic chemical release outside or a massive tornado bearing down, running out the front door is literally the worst thing you could do. Instead, we take refuge in interior windowless rooms. The specific threat always dictates the route. Let's hit section 4, the internal fire brigade, and assembling the team. Look, you might have plenty of employees willing to step up, but simply volunteering isn't enough to qualify a worker to actually fight industrial fires. If a facility elects to have its own internal brigade fight interior structural fires, those folks must be armored up. We're talking mandatory personal protective equipment here: fire-resistant coats, heavy-duty protective boots, specialized gloves, and full head, eye, and face protection. And, crucially, if they're going into the smoke, they must have respirators and breathing apparatus inside their masks. And because the hazards are just so extreme, OSHA mandates strict, rigorous training schedules. For brigade members assigned to interior structural firefighting, they've got to be trained at least quarterly. For all other brigade members, it's at least annually. This guarantees the team is medically screened, physically fit, and technically prepared to handle the insane pressure of a real-life emergency.
Section 5, your first line of defense. The tools of the trade.
Before you just grab a tool off the wall, you have to know what you're actually fighting. There are 5 classes of fires. Class A is your ordinary combustibles, like wood or paper. Class B involves flammable liquids. Class C is energized electrical equipment. Class D is combustible metals. And Class K, that's for cooking oils. Grabbing the wrong extinguisher isn't just unhelpful. If you throw a water extinguisher on a Class C electrical fire or a Class B oil fire, you can make a dangerous situation instantly lethal. And this brilliantly illustrates that exact point. Take an air-pressurized water extinguisher. It cools the surface of a Class A paper fire perfectly, but there's no way you'd use it in a kitchen. For that, you need a Class K wet chemical extinguisher. It's specifically designed for industrial kitchens to spray a fine mist over burning oil, but of course only after you've cut the power. 2 very different tools for 2 incredibly specific hazards. Now, of course, we're not just relying on humans running around with portable tanks. Automatic sprinkler systems, along with other fixed suppression methods, are on the job 24/7. They perfectly complement our manual efforts. They're designed to automatically detect that heat or smoke and immediately suppress the fire, buying us the absolutely critical time we need to get everybody out safely. Bringing us to our final section, number 6, fight or flee, the ultimate decision. So the crucial point is this. Before you ever touch a fire extinguisher, you have to ask yourself a couple of quick questions. Is the fire too big? Is the air actually safe to breathe? Is the environment getting too hot or smoky? If that fire is progressing beyond the very beginning, the incipient stage, or if you don't have a perfectly safe, clear evacuation path right at your back, you do not fight it. Immediate evacuation is your one and only option. But let's say it is a small, manageable fire and you're fully authorized and trained. Then you use the PASS technique. This is the absolute gold standard for portable extinguishers. Step 1, pull the pin to unlock the lever. Step 2, aim at the base of the fire. Step 3, squeeze that handle to discharge the agent. And Step 4, sweep from side to side until the fire appears completely out. Let's move to this diagram and see how this builds on those steps. The temptation is always going to be to aim at those big, bright flames. But if you do that, the extinguishing agent just flies right through the fire. Useless. You absolutely must aim at the fuel base. Start back at a safe distance, sweep side to side, and only move forward as the fire actually recedes. Keep a really close eye on the area for reignition. And hey, if the extinguisher empties and the fire still isn't out, drop it and evacuate immediately. All right, that wraps up our facility walkthrough for this explainer. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final, vital question to think about. If the alarm sounded right now, literally wherever you're sitting or standing, would you know exactly what to do and exactly where to go? Because fire safety isn't just the safety manager's job, it's a culture of awareness that falls on every single one of us. Take a look around your workplace today. Locate your nearest 2 exits, spot those fire extinguishers, and never, ever let complacency be the spark. Thanks for joining me on this risk assessment. Stay safe out there.